Hey guys, what's up? How y'all doing? Happy New Year. Welcome to the year 2020. I hope you've all been good. I hope you had a great holiday. It feels good to be back on the podcast, man. I remain your host, Olumuyiwa Judge. Yes, the host of the Naija Biz review podcast. So, there's this topic I have been wanting to talk to you guys about, but then I couldn't. It didn't form fully in my head, and I tried to bring in a guest so we can talk about this topic together. But there were kind of some glitches in that process, and unfortunately, I couldn't go ahead to upload the episode I had with the guest. So while it's just a personal story, this is like an interlude to the topic of today. So while relaxing after coming back from church today, this is like the second Sunday in January 2020. I'm Christian, by the way. I was just sleeping, and then the topic fully formed in my head, and I was like, wow, it took this long, but then it's finally here. And today I want to talk about 3 scary things nobody tells you about entrepreneurship. Yeah, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. It's good. But then there's a dark side to entrepreneurship. There's a dark side that so many people do not tell you. There's a dark side that people try to hide that we should really be talking about. Are you with me? If you've been enjoying the Naija Biz review podcast so far, you can actually send me a voice message via the Anchor app, via anchor.fm. You can send me a voice message and I'll respond to your messages. I'll be right back. Let's just go on a little commercial break, and then when I come back, not a commercial break because this episode does not have sponsors, but if you'd like to sponsor an episode of the podcast, reach out to me. GOSURVEYSS 44@gmail.com. That's geosurveys44@gmail.com. It's a single S, not a double S. So it's GEOSUR VEYS geosurveys44@gmail.com. I'll join you guys in a bit. Cheers. Hey guys, so I'm back. So the good thing about this topic is I'm not just sharing the scary things about entrepreneurship. I'm also giving you tips on how to better manage the negative or the scary effects of being an entrepreneur. Are you with me? If you're with me, say whoo-hoo, whoo-hoo. I'm just goofing around. So is entrepreneurship rewarding? Yes, it can be highly rewarding. Is it better than having a job? I am not going to answer that question. I would leave that for you to decide. But what I can tell you is entrepreneurship is hard. It is really, really, really difficult, and but if you are persistent with being an entrepreneur, if you are persistent, if you are fluid, that means you can adapt and evolve and have the long-term thinking. You're really going to succeed. So let's get to this. The first scary thing about being an entrepreneur is you find yourself working round the clock. How do I mean by you working around the clock? So on like a 9-to-5 job where say you resume at 8:30 in the morning and then you close at 6:30 and you leave the office maybe 7 o'clock if you are working late. As an entrepreneur, your work never stops. Do you know what I mean? So even if you are not behind your computer, say you are a digital entrepreneur and then you're not seated behind your computer with your mobile phone, or you are not in your physical premises, your business premises, your store, your shop, your restaurant, your cafe, whatever it is, you find out that even when you've closed from the business, you are still working. So you might not be working physically, but mentally you're working, because you find out that you don't stop thinking about this business. You're an entrepreneur. You want your business to grow. You can't take your mind off the business. So even when you're sleeping, you're dreaming of how to get more customers. Do you understand? So your mind is working 24/7. And one of the reasons why people go into entrepreneurship, they say, oh, I want to escape the prison of not having time with my 9 to 5 job. But then you have escaped the 9 to 5 and then you've become an entrepreneur, but you still find out that you still don't have time. Man, what did you get into? This shit is crazy, man. But does that mean you should give up? I don't think so. I wouldn't encourage you to give up. The rewards are better. The paychecks, when they start coming in, they come in bigger. Okay, so what do you do if you find yourself working around the clock as an entrepreneur? What would I advise you to do? I would advise you that you hire people who are competent and then you train them on that business. You train them on tasks. So what happens is you free yourself from some of these tasks, and then as the captain of the ship, as the chief entrepreneur of the business, you now focus on only things that matter, only things that move the needle for you. Am I making sense? Am I communicating to somebody here? So you train people so that you can now be free to work on only things that matter. Activity is not productivity. You should follow the 80%, the Pareto principle, where it says 20% of your effort brings in 80% of the result. So those less important things you can outsource and then focus your energy on the things that move the needle for you. Yeah, so I don't want the podcast to be too long, so I'm just going to move on to the second scary thing about entrepreneurship. Yeah, this one, you find out that it is such a lonely road. Entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely. You find yourself walking alone most of the time. So your family, your friends might not understand your journey. They might not understand your vision. They might not understand what you plan to do or what you're doing. So you find out that, okay, since you're focusing on your business, you begin to have less time to socialize. You begin to have less time to hang out with your buddies like you used to hang out with them before. And then they begin to look at you and say, what's wrong with this one self? He doesn't even have time for us, or she doesn't even have our time any longer. But you know what you're going through. So, and I tell you, there is actually an upside to this. This could be a moment of growth. It could be that, okay, you are actually outgrowing these people, and then you are going to meet people, you are going to make new connections that will meet you at your new level. Do you understand? So what would you do? What should you do if you find out that you are a lonely entrepreneur, you are walking the road alone? My advice to you is, the first thing, get a co-founder. Most people feel like, I was talking about this thing, especially with Nigerians. Nigerians want to own 100% of the cup than 10% of the river. Are you seeing sense in that? So if you own 100% of a little thing, what you're going to get is little results. But if you join forces with somebody and then both of you say, oh, you have the strength, I have the strength, let us come together and then forge this partnership, man, your productivity would increase by maybe 10 times if two people are doing it than if it was just you alone. Do you understand? And then you have somebody that you can talk to, someone who is in the journey with you. So having a co-founder is very important. And my formula for a co-founder is, if you are a builder, if you know how to build products, or if you know how to build businesses, found the company with a marketer, someone who's good with storytelling, who can help you to narrate your vision to your stakeholders. Your stakeholders are your customers, your clients, and maybe your investors. So that is one thing. Get a co-founder if you find out that your entrepreneurship road is lonely, and then it is advisable to get a co-founder. Another thing you can do if you are lonely on the journey of entrepreneurship is you should join a group of like-minded entrepreneurs. So there are several online groups, there are several coaches. I'll be starting I have a group actually. If you'd like to join my group, just send me an email, geosurveys44@gmail.com. I would add you to my mailing list, so I have people whom I share these ideas with. So some ideas I don't bring to the podcast, they're only shared with members of my community. So if you'd like to join my community, email me, geosurveys44@gmail.com, or tweet at me, tweet at me, send me a message on Twitter, DLURGE, and tell me, you'd like to join my exclusive community, and I could grant you access. You might just get access to join us. So another thing is, find a group of like-minded people, like-minded entrepreneurs, and join them and become an active member of this group, of this community. The first thing when you join this community is you need to be helpful. You don't join the community and just go there and sit down. You need to engage other people. You need to discuss when people are discussing. You need to share things from your own unique perspective. Do you understand? You need to add value to these people. And then when people see that you add value to them, they would want to reciprocate. So when you're adding value to people, you can now decide to share your own challenges as an entrepreneur. And then you find out that a lot of people would come to encourage you, to come to help you. Because why? You are a helpful member to that community. So don't be a closed-mouthed entrepreneur. You understand? And then another thing is you can now create. So maybe in these groups, that is where you will find your co-founder, or you might find a business partner. It is always good to be involved with, entrepreneurship communities. And a lot of those business coaches have groups. So you can actually reach out to them and say you want to join the group. If you'd like me to recommend certain groups to you, reach out to me via Twitter at The Lodge, or email me, geosurveys44@gmail.com. So the last thing I want to talk to you about entrepreneurship. Yeah, I made some notes. Let me just go through my notes. So you might experience constant anxiety as an entrepreneur. Yes, when you're an entrepreneur, unlike your 9 to 5, you know that at the end of the month or at the end of 2 weeks, depending on what country you reside, I'm going to get a salary. Whether I brought in money for the company or not, I'm going to get paid. But as an entrepreneur, you have to fight for your money. You have to work for your money. You have to strategize for your money. And it is not certain, or you don't know where the money is going to come from at this time. So this is going to lead you to some kind of anxiety. You might find out that you start becoming quite anxious. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make payroll. I don't know if I can pay these people. I don't know if the customers are going to buy from me. I don't know if they're going to love my new product. I don't know how to market my product. I don't know how to sell my product. Who's going to help me? Calm down, my friend. Everyone has gone through this one way or the other. Everyone still goes through some form of anxiety. It's just that some people know how to manage their anxiety better than others. But how do you manage anxiety as an entrepreneur? The first thing you need to do is get your market projections right. You just don't launch a business without doing the research. You need to have done your research. You need to have done your market survey. You need to have spoken with your customers, and you need to have set realistic expectations. You can't start the business today and say, I'm going to make $1 million in 2 months. Yes, it's possible. People have made $1 million in 2 months, in 2 weeks as new entrepreneurs. But does that work for everyone? No, it doesn't work for everyone. So you have to be realistic with your goals. So if you've done your market research, you know that, in this area where I live, there are about 10,000 people. Out of these 10,000 people, 3 people, out of these 10,000, 3,000 people are interested in my products. Okay, and then out of these 3,000 people, I've spoken with about 300 of them, and they told me they are going to buy my product when the product is ready. Okay, I don't want to be too optimistic. Out of these 300 people, I think 10% of them are going to convert into paying customers. So if you have a predictable system and then you try to market to your 300 people with the hope that 30 of them convert into paying customers, that way you can be sure of having an almost steady projection or an almost clear projection. So your anxiety will be reduced because you've done your estimation, you have a reasonable expectation of yourself and of your business. So even with your projections, even with your estimations, you might find out that you don't even hit that projection. You might find out that you hit the projection, or you might even surpass that projection. But what I'll tell you is, first thing, have a projection with your market research and all of that. Second thing, go into the market with an open mind. Just go into the market and say, enjoy the process. Just enjoy the process. Enjoy yourself, but listen to what the market is telling you. So you might say, I love this thing. This is what my customers will buy. And then the market is telling you, we don't like this. This is what we want. So you should be able to listen to the market and then adapt your services to the demands of the market. One secret, you don't launch a product. One secret of entrepreneurship is you don't launch a product and then go look for the buyers. What you do is you identify the buyers and then you give them the product. For the sake of not spending so much time talking, I want to thank you for listening to the Naija Biz Review podcast. So I'm going to share a link to subscribe to my community via the link. You can just I'm going to share it anyway. You might not be able to get it, but if you'd like to join my community, just tweet at me at The Lurge, DALURGE, and I'll give you a link to subscribe to join my community for free of charge. And this year, I think I'll be releasing lots of products, lots of interesting products I've used that I want to recommend to you to want to try out. So good luck, all you entrepreneurs. If you feel like this podcast has helped you, feel free to share it, feel free to subscribe, feel free to give us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast. Search for Naija Biz Review on Apple Podcast and give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you share it. I still remain your host, Olumuyiwa George. My friends call me The Lurge. I'm the founder of The Lurge Consulting. By the way, I'm thinking of changing the name of the company, but I'll tell you that when that is announced, if we decide to change the name of the company. Follow me on Twitter at The Lurge, DLURGE, Instagram at The Lurge1. Subscribe to the Naija Biz Review podcast. I'll see you in our next episode. Cheers, people. Bye.